We almost. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Ellicott. Today, we are joined by two outstanding friends of the VCTV family to talk to you about impact investing and social responsibility. In summary, what is happening in the impact and social investing worlds? We've talked about this many times on VCTV, everything from impact to social, climate to ESG, and all these terms we've discussed. We're going to go a layer deeper today, and we are joined by Gary and Bryant, who are going to introduce themselves in just a moment. But before that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Big thank you to the LaToken team and to Hasbit for making today's episode possible. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. Gary Fowler, the grandmaster himself of artificial intelligence, the one and only Gary Fowler. A little introduction and background.
Great, Kyle. Great to be here. Great to see you, Brian Hasbit. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur investor. I've been involved in 17 startups and 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Yva.ai, an AI tech company. I'm the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. Yes, Silicon Valley, Palo Alto. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities aren't, and we're here to make a difference. Thanks, Kyle.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary, as well. Always a pleasure. Brian, welcome to the show as well. A little intro and background for everybody that may not know you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Brian Asingia. I go by Asingia, but I started my career at the New York Stock Exchange for about 2.5 years. I'm an electrical and computer engineer by training. Currently run a management consultancy called Dream Galaxy Advisory. And just this year, we initiated our investment syndicate titled Cashless Society to start investing in emerging technologies in education, healthcare, and finance. I've worked with companies like Acoin, Skybit, which is in Singapore, blockchain digital asset conversion platform, and in general, very excited or passionate about inclusive innovation, and just finished writing my book, Cashless Society 101, that comes out this March. Thank you for having me.
Wow, it comes out this March. Give us a little rundown. What is the book about?
Well, the book itself sort of explores what I call the modern ethics. So we know that electronic transactions are now real. We saw digital payments increase by over 30% during COVID. But part of the second half of the book, in addition to exploring issues like digital identity, ownership, trust, and scale, is exploring the ethical side of the conversation, which I say, what does the world without cash look like? Meaning, can we always put fiat-based currency in every transaction we make? What if we reimagine that? What does that do for fractional ownership? If you think NFT, extending that to maybe real estate or setting up corporations, right? One example I use is the Chobani company by this Greek immigrant founder, who then ends up giving some of the shares to employees. So I do think that in the future, employees can be part owners in organizations they help create, and fractional ownership is a route to that. So we now have the technology to make that possible without involving the complexity of hiring fancy lawyers and accountants. So there's a lot of access and inclusion that can be made possible by this Web 3.0, if, of course, we focus on solving the right problems as well.
Right. And so I want to come back to that in just a moment. But Gary, I want to come to you next and talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing on the impact and social side. You're making investments on a global scale pretty aggressively in many different industries that are intersecting in various regions. What are you seeing that's kind of trending right now here in the beginning of 2022 around impact and social?
You know, it was interesting, Kyle. Yesterday, I had a conversation with one of the top family offices, and I've had multiple conversations like that. They're really concerned about what's happening on the planet. They're concerned about global climate change, average temperatures going up as high as 7 degrees Fahrenheit. And quite frankly, Kyle, another 250, 300 years, we may not be around if we don't do something extraordinary to solve these challenges we have. Global warming, population increase from 8.1 billion to 13, and really democratizing opportunity, making sure that it's fair, just, and right. So people all over the world, you know, we're in Africa, there's 38 countries in Africa, over 1 billion population, to be able to help people so they can feed themselves and feed their families. so that we can all live a better life. We can't go back through. This isn't a time, Kyle, that we can talk about it anymore. Action needs to be taken. The wealthiest families in the world are starting, the majority of them are binding together today to understand how to tackle the problem. Because like I said yesterday with them, if they don't make the change, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It won't make a difference then. It's not for us. It's for our children and our children's children to be able to change the world. We don't want to have a world where it's so hot you can't live, where there isn't enough water that you can drink. And by 2050, we have to double the food supply to feed everybody. We got to figure out ways that we work together to take care of those issues.
Absolutely agree. When you talk about action, what is some of that advice or action that you refer to that those that are listening, whether they're investors or entrepreneurs, can get started with?
I mean, you need to look at the companies that are making those differences. Look at companies that are dealing things like Farming 4.0 that are going from the field to the table. Look at technologies out there with IoT in the field that can help us analyze what's out there so we can increase crop yield. Go down through and create some jobs in places all over Africa where people really need the jobs, which is an incredible talent, like in Nigeria, where there's AI talent galore, 206 million people that could really use an opportunity. And oh, by the way, you build in this force that really helps you to spread throughout another continent and to be able to bring it global. So they're investing in those areas. They're concerned about the inequality of the world. They're concerned about the environmental conditions we have. And they're also concerned about economic inequality, but concerned enough that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. So for the people who want to invest, look at the companies that are making those differences. How do we feed people more? How do we take care of, I mean, in the ocean today, there's an island of junk that's floating around the size of the state of Rhode Island, plastic and nets. We need to figure out there are solutions out there like bio companies from Argentina that have gone after those kind of problems, biomass challenges. Go out and solve those problems. How can we take those plastics and turn them into things like oil? Companies out there today that do that. How can we take those plastics and make them so they are degradable, so we're not concerned 10 years from now that they're floating around the ocean? One of the effects that you have by having this floating around, it superheats the ocean, right? It's like having a thermal blanket on a swimming pool. Let's go down through. You know, if we don't do something soon, Kyle, we're going to look at the Gulf Stream will stop one day. And when the Gulf Stream stops, the food supply shortens. Let's do something now to be able to take care of it. Let's invest in those companies that are out there, wherever they are in the world, that are making those difference to solve the challenges that we each and every one of us have for the future. The time is now.
Absolutely, Gary. And Brian, to you, you talked a lot about inclusion in Web3, bringing different opportunities and including many that may not already be included by previous iterations of the web or applications. So talk to us a little bit about that, what that means for the investors or entrepreneurs that are listening, to kind of get them excited or maybe give them some ideas of where to start placing bets.
Yeah, I would like to follow up on what Gary said. You know, there's regions like Africa, obviously, with about 54 countries and 1.3 billion people. You have Latin America and Southeast Asia. These are all regions boosting with innovation and actually coming up with some e-commerce platforms and other digital solutions. However, what Gary mentioned also is still important. There's still lack of reliable infrastructure in a lot of these areas, from connectivity to power. So I think that on one hand, policymakers and governments need to make sure that these areas around sustainable energy, renewable energy, that we're investing heavily in these areas. But from an individual investor and entrepreneur side, I would say Web 3.0 actually provides, just like the internet provides that connectivity. I think Web 3.0 brings the decentralization that's actually needed for people to take a little bit more ownership of those providing solutions to these challenges locally, instead of always waiting maybe for a Western first kind of solution mindset. And so one of the projects I was helped evangelize was the Acoin project, which is looking to create a single digital currency for Africa that would facilitate cross-border payments and really eliminate a lot of the high costs of of both taxation and currency conversion involved in doing business across borders within Africa. The African market, for example, if it's unified and it's projected to be really second to the EU in terms of size, there's a lot. It already has the largest mobile money market with M-Pesa, which is an SMS-based banking system. So we see that just scaling that beyond one region, East, and really connecting the whole of Africa has tremendous opportunity, and vice versa, being able to allow for global trade as well. That's just one example. The other company we're working with, Skybit in Singapore, has been able to focus on helping local merchants actually start accepting blockchain payments, so digital crypto payments, and by extension, through their digital asset conversion platform, actually be able to then convert back to fiat or local currencies, so that they're not really disrupting their day-to-day operations, but at the same time, they're not losing out on the future of commerce. And so I think that a lot of these technologies or solutions that entrepreneurs should be looking to create is not purely eliminating cash transactions overnight, but is augmenting and supplementing existing infrastructures to obviously increase efficiency, decrease cost, and yes, provide more access, because there's still about over 1 billion people around the world that are still unbanked or without access to financial services, and we can do a lot more to help reach them.
And so speaking of doing a lot more, Brian, looking at the rest of the year, we've got about 10 months, give or take 9.5 months left. Where would you tell people to start focusing their time and energy if they're looking to build or looking to invest? Maybe one or two key areas. And then where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation or connect afterwards?
Yeah, sure. I'm passionate about education, but I think like healthcare and finance, we've seen obviously a lot of the, I would say the era or normalization of apps or dApps for credit wallets is becoming normalized. We're seeing regulation becoming more and more clear. So I think solutions around really bringing crypto to the masses, or bringing financial literacy and financial solutions in terms of fintech to the masses, that's still a big challenge. I think it's still accessible to the elite few who can understand and participate in it. But how do we get businesses to accept more digital payments? How do we get consumers to trust that their payments are also safe online? That's a big area. And I think health, as we've seen through COVID, I think health needs to be reimagined for the future. Telemedicine is an area that we could invest in heavily to take away the burden, as we saw, from consistent hospital visits, some of them that are often unnecessary, so that preventive healthcare also has a role to play in reducing the burden on the healthcare system. I can be found online via my site, brianasingia.com, BRIASINGIA, and my social media is same name, Brian Asingia. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Same question to you, Gary, as well. One or two areas for focus, and then where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Yeah, so I mean, from my standpoint, we need to look at areas like companies that are environmentally oriented, taking care of pollution problems. Of course, education, as Brian said, is important. And we need to go down through and really democratize the opportunities. We look at AI as a horizontal and not a vertical. So artificial intelligence, quantum computing that can have an impact. Look at what happened during COVID. We couldn't even get, a slice of bread, a loaf of bread. We couldn't get milk and eggs. So we need to look at the supply chain and fix those problems. But at the same time, we got to use our heart and compassion to reach out to areas around the world where we can equalize those opportunities. Invest in the people, invest in the technologies, places like Nigeria, where they have companies like Patricia and Flutterwave that really dominated the spaces. Let's make it a cashless society. Let's make it so we can all participate. Let's make the world a little bit better place. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, on LinkedIn or Twitter, or check out my shows. GSD presents Silicon Valley AI Tech, the Founders Report, or on VC Task Force, Gary's Picks. So check it out. And also, I just published another article in Forbes yesterday. So it's my 173rd. Check it out. And great being here.
Wonderful. Thank you. And congratulations, Gary, on the article. Congratulations, Brian, on the upcoming book launch as well. Both, thank you very much for your time and insights today. Also, to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe on today's episode. Also, do reach out to Gary, Brian, and myself. We'd all love to hear from you, but add context when you do. Where you heard us, where you met us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott for VCTV. Big thank you to the LaToken team and to Hasmic for making today's episode possible. Have a great day, great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.